Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you, another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks, I'm my favorite series videos I do for the water. I go over there, try out food and drink items. Eat stuff and drink stuff. Then, folks, I'm going to talk about stuff. I'm going to let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff. That time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not going to lie. I'm real happy about this one. We'll get to it in a second. But, folks, it's a super simple format. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing that, yammer on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm inside the truck. And whilst I'm doing all that, you better believe I'm wearing a super cool shirt. Folks, when I wear super cool shirts, I always like to highlight super cool shirt. Super cool shirt am I wearing today? Boom! It's my 9 Inch Nails shirt. Yes, 9 Inch Nails. I don't think I really need to introduce 9 Inch Nails. They're like one of the most incredible musical projects of past several decades now. Trent Reznor and co. Being the genius that he is, and obviously he's been extremely successful, and basically everything he does just kind of touches to fucking gold. Or everything he touches turns to gold. That's what I meant to say there. I've been a big fan of 9 Inch Nails ever since I was a little kid. I told the story in one of my reviews about how my stepbrother that I used to have, he was a big fan of basically all the music of the 90s, just kind of everything. And he had a copy of the Pretty Hate Machine CD. And I went over there, I listened to it one day while he wasn't home. And my tiny 9-year-old brain was just like, everything is different now. I can feel the music. And ever since then, man, I've been enamored. I've actually been fortunate enough to see 9 Inch Nails perform a few times. The last time I got to see him perform, I actually took some videos of said performance. They are on this channel just in case you're interested. I have an entire playlist of just concert videos that I go to. But anyway, what am I reviewing for you? Why am I excited? What are we doing? Well, first and foremost, folks, this is a sub sandwich review. Sort of. I'm counting it as a sub sandwich review, and you're going to let me because it's my channel. With it being a sub sandwich review, I have to get 3 things out of the way just to explain stuff. Number 1, for over a year now, a little over a year now, I've been going on sub sandwich adventures. What that means is I've been hitting basically every place that I can that's within reasonable driving distance, trying out sub sandwiches. Whether it's chain locations, gas stations, the break room at my work, etc. If it's a sub sandwich, I've been eating it, I've been reviewing it. Second thing, if you are watching these videos and you enjoy my sub sandwich reviews and you're like, I wish they were all in one convenient location. Well, wish no longer. Your wish has been granted. I have an entire playlist called Subs for Subs. It is just my sub sandwich reviews, so if you like the sub sandwich content, just head there. Very final thing, folks. If you've gone to the playlist and you've watched it all 10 times, you're like, Brandon, there's still not enough sub sandwich content for me. Again, fear not. Just wait until Sunday, because Sunday is SUBday. That is the day when I go over there and upload my sub sandwich reviews. Typically, I upload 2 on Sunday. So you're always going to get at least, 1 or 2. I always try to get in at least 1, but I usually do 2. So if you like sub sandwich reviews, you better believe you're going to get some. Anyway, what am I reviewing for you? Why is it a sub? Well, folks, boom, this is it. And what is this, folks? Well, this is the Bánh Mì Sui Mai. I apologize, I'm sure I pronounced the fuck out of that wrong, but this is from Pho Ha, which is a Vietnamese eatery that I am a big, big fan of. I have reviewed one of their other sandwiches on here. Let's take a look at this beautiful thing. Let's get a screenshot going. Maybe? What can we do? It's shedding stuff. Oh, God. Can we do a thing? Is that helping at all? A little bit. Yeah, okay. That'll kind of work. Okay, so why is it a sub but not a sub? Technically, it's a banh mi sandwich, which is it's a Vietnamese street food sandwich that's very popular over there. If you go to pretty much any Vietnamese restaurant in the United States, they're going to have them available. I'm a big fan. I love Pho Ha. And I should mention, by the way, this is going to end up on my Subs for Subs playlist, but it's also going to end up on my Local Love playlist. Local love is just for like local places that are local to me. So non-chain locations and stuff like that. Pho Ha is my favorite place to get Vietnamese food. It is always wonderful. And I figure, yes, it's not a sub sandwich in name. It's a banh mi, but it's a sub sandwich, so we're going to count it as a sub sandwich. Oh, and by the way, it consists of, with all the trimmings, so you got like some carrots and like some, I think, radish and stuff. It's effectively, it's a meatball sub. It's meatball and tomato sauce in a sandwich. So let's go ahead and eat it, because I've been yammering for quite a while now. Sub sandwich reviews always take a little bit longer, because I have to explain stuff and things. So let's eat this. I'm only going to have a little bit, because I already ate at Pho Ha. I had a whole bunch of food while I was there, but I got this to go. Yeah, a little heat to it. Yeah, a little heat to it. I like that. Very peppery heat, too. Goes to the back of your throat. That's really good. First and foremost, the bread. I'm pretty sure they use French bread, if I'm not mistaken, which is probably an influence of when the French kind of ran Vietnam for a while. It is fantastic. It's like perfect sandwich bread. It's nice and crisp on the outside. The inside, it's nice and soft. It's great. It absorbs all the tasty stuff while going over there and keeping its integrity. Bread is fantastic. And it's just so flavorful. That's one of the things I like about banh mi so much is, like, fundamentally, they're not all that different. Like, a lot of times it's basically just their interpretation of, like, a Western-style sandwich. But just the little differences really do make it up. Like, the use of carrots, the use of, like, the radish and stuff like that. It adds this really nice texture to it, and it really kind of opens it up. It just gives it this great freshness. I mean, obviously, sub sandwiches here in America, pretty common. You get some tomato, some lettuce, maybe some onion. That's their equivalent, but it is a different experience, because you get different flavors and stuff. So good. Meatballs are really soft. Like, they instantly break apart as soon as you bite into them. Which, I could go either way on, honestly. I like a meatball that's got some structural integrity to it, but obviously if it's got too much structural integrity to it, that can be a problem. With this one, like I said, as soon as you bite into it, it breaks apart. And it just starts mixing with all the flavors. It almost becomes like a sauce. Just like a very meaty, delicious sauce. It definitely has again, going off what I was just saying, it's similar to a meatball sub that we would have here, but it's different, not only in the overall construction of the meatballs themselves, but just in the flavor profile. Like, it still has a meatiness, but you think of Italian, or you think of meatballs, in America, you're thinking, Italian style. This obviously is an Italian style, even though it's, somewhat similar. So you're still getting that nice meatiness. The tomato is not as prominent as it would be on a classical meatball sub, but it's kind of through it. You know, it's almost like mixed in with the meatball instead of just kind of covering it. And so it doesn't have the same like strength of profile in there, but instead it's more of like an accentuating flavor throughout the eating experience. It's really interesting because, again, when you think of a meatball sub here, it's like the meatballs are really like the forefront of the entire experience. With this, it really blends throughout the entire sandwich. So it's like every bite you're getting this like just sort of mix of like meat and veg and, you know, like the sauce and everything. And it's like, it really kind of becomes almost one flavor, which sort of just like bursts of flavor in between. It's really cool. I've never actually had this sandwich before, despite the fact that I go to Pho Ha. Well, I don't go that often, but, you know, I try to get up there like a couple times a month or so. I've had a few of their banh mi sandwiches, but never had this one. It's really interesting. Like, I was expecting it to basically just be a meatball sub, but it's cool that it's like, yeah, it is kind of that, but it's also not that at all. It's like, it's definitely its own thing. I like this a lot. So here's the thing. Well, I'll get into that in a minute. Overall, I really like this sub. I love the bread. I love the freshness of the veg. I love the texture that it brings to it. I love the way the meatball works in this, because again, it is just very different, you know, but I love the way that it's so pervasive throughout the entire eating experience. Like, I like this sandwich a lot. Now, that said, two questions have to be asked. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? Yes and yes. Yeah, I'm going to go with both yes. Now, here's the thing, and this was what I was going to say earlier. Would I get this sandwich in place of a classic meatball sub? No. Because even though they're very fundamentally similar, I'm definitely getting two very different experiences. If I wanted a meatball sub, I would go out and get a classic meatball sub. That's what I would aim for. This is not a replacement nor a substitute for that. This, if I were going to get this, it is because I want this sandwich specifically. Because, for one thing, I can only get this sandwich specifically at one location. You know, I can't go to, you know, Subway or what the fuck ever and have them recreate this. It's an entirely different experience. So, in that regard, I mean, but yeah, man, it's a really fantastic sandwich, and I like it a lot. And I like the fact that it is kind of like a weird spin on something familiar that I'm used to. But, now, if I'm recommending it to people, here's the thing. I would recommend it, but it would be with the caveat of being like, okay, two caveats. Number one, there are banh mi that I think would maybe be a little bit easier for some people to go with. This is good, but it is a little bit unusual. It's also got a little heat to it. I mentioned that a little bit, but like, yeah, it does have some heat. Not, you know, striking, but enough that it's noticeable. It is a thing where it's like, there's some other banh mi's that I would maybe recommend before this one. I would say maybe have this as like your second or third banh mi experience if you've never had banh mi before. But I would still recommend it because it's super tasty. And fundamentally, it's not like weird or anything like that. It's just a little bit different. But yes, overall, really good sandwich. Like I said, I'm going to toss it in with the sub sandwiches anyway. And, yeah, man, Pho Ha is just fantastic. Like, they're just such a great fucking establishment. They're like this cool little hole in the wall. The staff are always very cool. It's got a very relaxed atmosphere, and the food is just fucking. But anyway, 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of the week, monumental rest of the month, stupendous rest of your. Folks, if you go over there, have yourselves a truly Vietnamese food-tastic rest of your life. Because Vietnamese food, if you've never had it, go check it out, folks, seriously. If, you know, maybe you know a spot, but you haven't tried it, or, you know, maybe hit up Google or some shit. See if you have any near you. I was surprised when I first started getting into Vietnamese food a few years ago. Like, I really just did it on a whim. And then when I started looking into it, it was like, oh, there's like 4 or 5 locations of different places around me. So, it's really good. Final 2 things before I get out of here. Number 1, try to bring some positivity in the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do can't do all the time. I know I can't do all the time. You're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Folks, it's not the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with it. Life can be very stressful, very frustrating, just bullshit-tastic, just atrociously horrible. It's important when we run into those situations in our lives, take a step back, try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives, hopefully do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, maybe you're going to go over there, maybe you're going to take me up, maybe you're going to hit up some delicious Vietnamese food around you, maybe you've never tried it before. Maybe you're going to go over there and you're going to give it a shot and it's going to be wonderful and fantastic, and you're going to hit me up in the comments and be like, Brandon, I did the thing and it was wonderful and thank you, and I appreciate that. Conversely, maybe you're somebody who already eats a lot of Vietnamese food and knows how to pronounce all this stuff perfectly, and you're going to go over there and hit me up in the comments and be like, you dumb bastard, why can't you go over there and pronounce these things correctly and blah, 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 blah. First of all, I'm sorry. I always feel bad when I go to ethnic restaurants and stuff like that, and I go over there and I'm like, hey, and I try, and I know I'm failing. They kind of they're just like, that's good for you. And it's like, I tried. Or conversely, if nothing else, hey, it doesn't have to be Vietnamese food. Just, explore your options, folks. There's a lot of great stuff out there. All right. Bye.